Just a little bit of brief history. The program, the Seeds of Hope program, was started in 2002 by a church in Chanhassen, Family of Christ Lutheran Church. And they began working with the Lutheran church leaders in El Salvador. And they focused on communities that are served by the pastors of the Lutheran church in El Salvador. And they intentionally wanted a program that provided both financial support to students as well as relationship support. We began supporting students in, actually I should say 2013, and have been supporting, joined the program then in 2013 and have been part of it since then. Part of the impetus for the program was in statistics from the early 2000s. In El Salvador, only 35% of the kids went to high school. So education was not, it was available, it's public education. Going to school doesn't cost anything, but there are a lot of related fees associated with going to school that do cost. And so families, not everybody went to high school. So as of a few years ago, 35% of the kids went to high school and only 5% went to the university. And that's, that was part of the presenting problem that Family of Christ saw and wanted to help impact. Since Seeds of Hope started in 2002 with Family of Christ, in total, so not just Trinity, but beyond Trinity, they've had 200 high school graduates and 35 kids earn university degrees. And those students are now teachers and doctors and working in IT and doing lots of different things. Right now, we are supporting 12 university students at Trinity this year, and 10 of them are in one community called Emmaus, associated with one congregation. And so think about the impact that we are having in this one place, having 10 university students now in this one relatively small community. So I think we're establishing a critical mass, which is really kind of exciting in this place. So just a few little details. So the students are identified by the Lutheran church leaders in El Salvador. Again, it's working with the local pastors. And then sponsors, we recruit sponsors on this end from both at Trinity and at the other churches that are participating. Our financial support goes for school-related costs. So not actually, so grade school doesn't cost anything, but they need uniforms, they need books, they need supplies. That's what our funds go for. University does have kind of tuition costs as well. We do lots of relationship building through our letter writing, and their annual sponsorship parties help to bring together the whole community, and several people here have been to those sponsorship parties and have gotten to see the impact that they're making. And then there's an annual meeting of all the leaders to kind of discuss how the program is working and changes that need to be made. So that's kind of the high level on the program. Now let's talk about impact. And this is, we're excited to have our first university student that we have significantly sponsored graduate. And Roxy, you're about to see a video of Roxy. Roxy is sponsored by Julie, so we'll have Julie talk in just a minute. But Roxy has recently, in November, graduated from the university, and so let's hear from Roxy and Luis. Oh.
And I just recently graduated from my university. My major is in computer science.
Y además de eso pertenezco al grupo de jóvenes de la iglesia Emmaus.
And I also belong to a youth program at the Emmaus Lutheran Church.
Aprovecho para darle las gracias a la iglesia de Trinity.
I want to take advantage and give thanks to Trinity Lutheran Church.
Y al programa de becas Semilla de Esperanza.
And also the Seeds of Hope Scholarship Program.
Por su apoyo incondicional.
For all the unconditional support
Que me brindaron desde el bachillerato hasta la universidad.
that I got from high school all the way up to university.
Sé que con este programa culminé mis estudios
With this program, I was able to finish my studies.
y en este momento estoy en busca de un trabajo.
And right now, I'm in my job hunting experience.
Espero en Dios encontrar un buen trabajo.
And I am hoping that I can find a really good job now.
Este programa es muy importante ya que muchos pueden seguir estudiando.
This program is a very important program because a lot of kids are able to continue their studies.
Si no hubiera un programa así como este, creo que muchos jóvenes, tanto como niños, no pudieran seguir con sus estudios.
And I think that if there weren't a program like this, a scholarship program like this, many kids and youth wouldn't be able to continue their hopes and dreams of pursuing a career.
He sido muy afortunada de haber terminado mis estudios.
I have been a very fortunate one. I was able to finish my career,
Estoy agradecida con mis patrocinadores,
and I am thankful to my sponsors,
especialmente con Julie Wins, que me ha estado brindando su ayuda durante todos estos años.
especially Julie Weens, who has been supporting me with my university studies all these years.
Esto es una bendición tanto para mí como mi familia.
This has been a blessing, not just for me, but also for my family.
Y estoy contenta porque me permiten ser un modelo a seguir.
And I'm very happy with this because this also has allowed me to be a role model for many other youth and kids that are coming behind.
Tanto para los niños como los jóvenes.
It's something that the youth and kids look up to.
Estimamos que ya que ellos quieren seguir, pues ya que ellos quieren perseguir una carrera,
And now I have become someone to look up to because now they also feel like they also want to go to university and pursue a university career.
y yo les daré mi apoyo cuando ellos me lo pidan.
And of course, I will try to give them all my support whenever they ask for it.
Es muy importante que todos apoyemos este programa de becas.
It is very important that we all continue supporting this program, scholarship program.
Por todos los beneficios que traen tanto a jóvenes como a niños.
It brings so many good things, not just for kids and youth.
Gracias a Jill, Julie, Pastor Brian y casi por apoyar este programa de becas.
So, thank you for Jill. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Pastor Brian, Pastor Casey, and many others who have supported and helped
Y por
in
todas
the
las
program.
y por todas las bendiciones que trae este programa.
And not just for the scholarship program, but for all the blessings that Trinity brings to this local church.
Ya que nuestra iglesia recibe cada año
Because Emmaus Lutheran receives a lot from Trinity Church every year.
gracias a todos ustedes por su apoyo.
And thank you all for all your support.
Isn't that sweet?
So Julie, would you mind standing up and we'll talk a little?
So as you can see, Roxy's been a big part of our life, and it's kind of like your own children. You can't believe that this has happened, and it took so little effort on my part, but we get so much more in return. I'm Julie Weens, and I've been a member of Trinity for about 30 years, and Rob, we just discussed, has been a member for almost 50. And we have two children of our own. Kelly is 25, and Nick is 23, and both were baptized and confirmed, and Kelly was recently married at Trinity in August. So, you know, my job is not done, but it's kind of fun to have this extension of family to kind of help these kids out and see where they end up. And it's been a real blessing for us.
When did you start doing this, Julie?
Well, really, Rob started the Roxy program, I think, with Luggage Pros 6 years ago. And
what made you start doing that? I should ask Rob, but I know you think for Rob, so.
It was all Julie's idea.
Well, yes, I mean, I went to El Salvador, I'm trying to think of the year that we went on a habitat build, and we were really touched, and we wanted to know what could we do, and, you know, things kind of progressed. I'm trying to think what year we went to. 2011, we went to El Salvador, and then I went by myself, and then the next year, Rob and Nick went on a habitat build, and it's just been such a blessing for us.
So tell us what this entails.
Really, it entails a check once a year for $195, I think, for the younger ones, and I think it's $300 and something for high school, and then I think about $1,500 for college. Is that about right?
Yeah.
So it's really minimal. And as probably some of you know, El Salvadorans make about $200 a month. And I remember coming home and being at Target right after our trip and thinking, oh my gosh, I just spent $200 at Target, and this is what, it's very, eye-opening,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And-
So, and the money that you spend is so that they can get books and really the uniforms, the accessories that you need for school.
Right, backpack, things
Yeah.
like that, school supplies. So that part is all help done by Jill, really,
Right.
as far as that goes. So as far as what we put in was the check and then letter writing and things like that. And actually Roxy is on the internet and she sends me emojis from time to time and just makes my day. So, I mean, again, I get more out of it than I feel like I put in, but it's just such a simple thing and it's such an impactful thing too.
And Roxy is pretty fun because she really has a personality, and if you go to El Salvador, you know Roxy, and she is busy on Facebook too, so that makes it really fun.
Yeah.
Well, I congratulate you for getting her through college. That is amazing to me. The situation in El Salvador is not one that really promotes that. So every step getting, up a grade and then even getting to the university is not easy.
Right. So not only do we have Roxy, who's 25, and pretty much, I'll still continue a relationship with her, I promise. I can't see this going away just because she graduated. But then I have Diana, who's just going to be going into dentistry. And so she is the next one in line, and she's 19. And then my other one, Erica, apparently is having boy problems. And then Sophie, the littlest one, is 11. And it's amazing. It's just a lot of fun to follow them and hopefully support them, encourage them. And
Yeah, that is really cool. Thank you so much. We're going to talk to Ron Van Buren. And Ron, I know, I've been to El Salvador with him. He's been many times and actually speaks a little Espanol. So Roxy is a person that you've met.
Yes, sir.
And what have you learned when you've been to El Salvador?
Well, I've learned what a happy people they are, how grateful they are to see us when we come. You get off the bus and they come and rush and hug you. It's just great to see them and meet them. And thanks to Cassie here, I've been able to communicate with them a little bit in Spanish and just learned also what a struggle they have with the gangs restricting their movement. And so it makes you appreciate what you have here.
Sure does. Cassie, did you want to add anything?
Oh gosh, just the impact of the program and what a difference it makes. Not only us visiting is significant, but for those of you who haven't been able to come on the trip, it is amazing to see how not only it impacts the lives of the students that you're sponsoring, but the entire community and the school and the teachers and the families. It is a noticeable and marked difference as we're in those communities to see what a difference your presence through letters or through contributions really does make.
I'd just like to share one little thing about Adriana's mother, Marta, was marching with us in a march against the violence, and she's carrying an umbrella. All of a sudden, she opens it up, and instead of putting it over her head, she puts it over my head to protect me from the heat, and that's just how considerate she is. And as Julie said, they communicate with us on Facebook, periodically send us the emojis and little stories, and it's just a real pleasure to know the people and be able to support their education.
Thank you. Ron is quite popular when he goes to El Salvador. I would go back all the time too. Actually, it feels pretty good to go there. You know, your own kids are like, get away. And the El Salvador kids are coming toward you and they're happy to see you, and that makes it great. So Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rajavsky, and I have been blessed with being able to go the past 2 summers, and there's so many things you could say. But I mean, when, like Ron said, the minute the bus comes around the corner, there are kids everywhere, and they're just so excited. And it doesn't matter that I personally sponsor Maria. They all think I'm sponsoring them because I'm representing the organization when I'm there. And yeah, you leave there, just like so emotional and so full of love, and it's amazing. It's amazing. This past time we met the college students, and we just had conversations with them. And there's mud everywhere. There's chickens. There's cows. We're sitting in a nice little spot. But this is what they live in. This is their world there, and they are telling us that in order to get to the class, they have to get up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and then one of them walks to this corner, and then the other one joins them, and then they all go and get to the bus together, and they travel together, and they go early so they can get back home early, probably before the city kind of starts waking up and they're more safe doing it that way. Unbelievable. I mean, our kids would be like, snooze, 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 would never go to this effort. And I mean, they're just so grateful, and it is, Julie mentioned the dollar amounts. What is that? That's like such a little sacrifice just to give these kids. I don't know.
Yeah, and I want to say we're not here to push you need to do this.
No.
We are here really to just share this program with you and to talk about the impact that it makes. And I think it's a really hopeful story in that way, because certainly there are kids who drop out, and there are kids who are lured into the gang successfully, but we're talking about some of the kids, for that many kids to make it to the university, to me it's really incredible. It is incredible.
And one of our students did drop out, and at least she got to go for as long as she got to go. And circumstances are different, and kids drop out here, right? So it's like you never know what the story is. But at first I was like, darn it, why'd she? And then you have to switch it and go. She was so lucky though to have the opportunities that she did, and maybe someday she will be able to return or get some sort of high school diploma. But it is. It's just such a great experience. I love it.
And there is a faith component too that comes through. So in the letters, the benedictiones, they tend to write that word a lot. You have. Did you say Adriana?
No, Maria.
Maria. So what's the story on Maria?
Well, Maria, this is a certificate saying that she got first place in her second year of high school in her class. So she's first place winner,
Yeah, right.
And we shared her with the Paulsons, with Judy and Jerry, and I think I've talked about this before, but this past summer, we actually went to her house, and we got to meet her mom and dad and her brother. And her brother comes out without a shirt on, and mom's like, come shirt on, and he comes back out ready for school because he was going to school in the afternoon. We were there just before he was leaving. But again, it's amazing to see. They just look so differently than we do. And again, they're so happy though. I mean, it's, I don't know. It's just like, it's so simple maybe. It seems like from our crazy little world we have here, that they're living simply, but just full of joy.
Ruth, do you want to continue on? Thank you so much.
So I know many of you, raise your hand if you're a sponsor. I know that most of you are already doing some kind of sponsorship. Thank you all, because we are making a difference. So you might be asking, what else can I do? What should I be doing? First and foremost, pray for the students and the leaders in El Salvador. It is a tough situation right now. The country has been through a lot, and the current president was elected, I don't know, last year sometime. There's a 60 Minutes segment that he was on in December. If you haven't seen that and you're curious, we can send you a link to it. Kind of interesting to hear his perspective. And he will say the kind of country's struggling, but he has hope. And I think part of what we're doing is instilling hope and pray for them. Pray that they can continue to make progress in their safety and create a better environment for everyone. We do have students to sponsor. As you know, each year we have a couple people leave the program, students, as well as a couple of, there's reasons why sponsors have to discontinue as well. Right now we have 3 university students, and there's a sheet on every table if you want to glance at it. 3 university students that need either partial or full financial sponsorship. And we have many university students that are co-sponsored. So if you, financial sponsorship there. On the flip side, we have 3 new students that have been identified by the church leaders in Emmaus, younger kids who are eligible or they are recommending for sponsorship. So if we have the opportunity, that's another place that we can be invested in. Part of the sponsorship is financial, and part of it is relationship building and writing letters and just praying for them. Any of those things are opportunities. We do have a small Seeds of Hope leadership team, as Jerry mentioned at the beginning, that I'm part of. Camille, Eliana, there's a few of us. We meet a couple times a year just to kind of coordinate the mailings with Jill and with the help of Linda. We welcome new players to that team. And then also consider joining a future trip to El Salvador to meet the kids in person. Ben has been, as well as some of the people that have spoken today, who else has been on a Seeds of Hope trip here? So there's been a number of people who've actually been on this trip. Talk to them about the impact it is to actually meet the kids and see their gratitude. They really will enrich your life. So those are just a few things to consider if you want to increase your support or start supporting the Seeds of Hope program. And that's the end, I guess. Okay, so questions?
Questions, comments?
When are the trips for this year?
So the question was, when are the trips for this year?
We have not decided the trip yet this summer, because there's one of 2 things. We're either wondering, and we're going to try to make a decision very soon, do we, instead of doing a trip this summer, try to possibly bring up, Roxy would be one we'd love to bring up, and like Pastor Gloria, one of the leaders, because only a few people will travel. Not everyone's going to travel down there, but a great way to help share the program too is if we could bring up like a student, a graduate, and one of the leaders. Or then we would do a summer trip. It would most likely be July. So that's what we have to figure out soon. If we brought up a student and a leader, we'd work on that now to bring them up in the fall would be the plan. And there's a process, we tried this a couple of years ago, Family of Christ did it, so they've got to be granted a visa. We do know one of the leaders, Gloria, does have a visa and can come up to the States, but it'd be great to have a student or two come and speak about the program. So that's where we're at. As soon as we know, we'll get that information out.
Right. I noticed that the vast majority are girls and not as many boys, but is there a reason for that, or am I just not seeing the percentage?
I'd have to look at the total list, but what would you say? Would you say it's 60-40? I mean, there's quite a bit of boys that are in school. What happens is, I would say, some of the boys typically drop out. Like Bruce said, 35% of the students continue on to high school, which is for us 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They'll continue on, we'll see most girls and boys continue to 9th grade. By 10th grade, that boy becomes more important to stay probably home to work on the farm. And there might be less, the parents may value education less because for them an immediate basic need is getting food on the table, or working in the farm, or so you might see more boys dropping out in high school, but there's actually, I would say, university at Emmaus community, half of them are boys and half's girls. So I think maybe it's just what you're seeing, but there's...
And I would add that it's very community dependent. So Emmaus has a long-established Seeds of Hope program where Family of Christ really laid the roots, and then Trinity has stepped in to build the program. So there, the perspective of the community is much more heavily weighted towards keeping our kids in school than we see in other communities. So as the value of education and the opportunities are made more available to the students, and it becomes easier for the family by having support to help pay for books and uniforms and shoes and at times transportation contributions for the university students, it's easier for them to justify the value of a future degree, even though it defers income potential for them now.
Pastor Brian, you have a student.
Our student is Oscar, and we got to meet him back in 2013. And one of the things that really just blew me away is how the students view the sponsors. They really view you as like a godparent. And I remember meeting Oscar, and he was much younger then, but he was just so affectionate to us right away. Both Kim and I went on that trip, and he's become a young man now, and he's just started the baccalaureate program, so I think 10th grade or something like that. And but that's one of the things that they take this so seriously, and they take their relationship with you who sponsor them so seriously, to the point where it is really like a godparent. And godparent really means something to them in that country.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I want to comment. The money isn't that big, but their effort, their personal effort to get to school is huge. And been down there 3 times, a couple of habitats. That's a country that's struggling to just do the right thing. And these kids that get this little extra, it's not a free lunch for them. They still have to put in the effort to get to school. And it's not always easy. The transportation system is not, so best part I had in the experience, I met both the mother and David. And the last time I was down there, David showed up with his brother and sister who got involved in the program after he got involved. They saw the value and commitment, and it really, they're making a big commitment too.
Yeah, I liked what Roxy said about she's become sort of, a leader within the community, because look what Roxy has done, And I thought her video was great. It was really cute. So Dick would like Pat to talk about their girl.
Oh dear, thank you. Is it on? Yeah. We sponsor 2 children. We have little Wilbur, and little Wilbur is now, I think, 13. Little Wilbur is no longer so little. And Evelyn, and we've sponsored Evelyn since the start of the program. And it's been a real struggle with Evelyn. Evelyn likes to play soccer, and she's a very physically active girl, very athletic, and she was nip and tuck whether she was going to finish out her 9th grade. She graduated, and she was the first one to sign up for the public school. So that gives us a lot of courage. She really needed encouragement to get her grades up. Her mathematics were really struggling. Had to remind her that math is very important for girls. And she has such a wonderful opportunity to go on. And she just needed a lot of encouragement. And I think she's the youngest of her family. And I think her family must have been very supportive. And our Wilbur is also the baby in his family. And he is getting a tremendous support from older siblings. And his father died when he entered the program that year. So his mother was a new widow with 2 older siblings and Wilbur. The father died of kidney disease. And kidney disease is very rampant with men in El Salvador, because they labor in the fields and it's so hot and they don't drink enough fluid and they're dehydrated a lot and their kidneys suffer. Anyhow, she sells vegetables and works in the market to support her family, but he has older siblings, and I think that they were involved with, and so very important for our 2 students to have the older siblings. And Dick just tells me that we're going to sponsor one of these university students too, so I'll have more letters to write.
Yeah, and the letter writing is churning your letter, and then Eliana, I know Ron has done some transposing into the language for them. So I want to end by saying I think we could talk about the students for a long time. So if you would like to talk to some of the sponsors about their students, I know they would have stories to tell. I think that this has been a really fun hour. Or do you have another question? Oh yeah, we'll run some pictures while you're.
We were thinking that maybe, they get together and take pictures for us, and we have pictures we can run here, but I was kind of thinking it'd be fun to send them a picture of us. So if you'd be willing to kind of huddle up, and maybe I will actually videotape and have Cassie say something like, "Good luck in school," and then we can wave at them, or something like that. What do you think? Can we do that for them? Let them know we're thinking about them? I just think.
Okay. Let me just say one thing really quickly about the Seeds of Hope program as a whole, just that it is changing lives, and we have a lot of students in this one community, as they mentioned. There's leaders down in El Salvador, pastors that oversee the program, and so they make the recommendations to review that the students get the sponsorship, but it's based on recommendation. They have to maintain grades. Like we know with Evelyn, we're like, Evelyn, come on, you gotta get those grades up to stay in the program. They have to participate in church. So it's not just, they get the scholarship and there isn't follow-up. They follow up with the students in the schools. They have to maintain the grade. They have to participate in church. So there's a really good accountability for it. And they said, I get a lot of messages all the time at different times about different students. So I think we feel really good. We know that the program is well supervised down there, and Family of Christ oversees the program here. So anyway, just thank you for listening, learning, and if you have additional questions later about the program, you can see me or any of the sponsors really. So, all right, thank you. Oh no.
I gather